Again, brother, thank you so much. High performance consultant. This is uh this is the tits, mate. This is pretty big.
It's the tits.
I gotta first of all, mate, I gotta ask why. Why go down the avenue? Why go down the little niche that you did? Why did you do what you do?
Are we talking in terms of consulting, or we talking training load, or sports science? Um, what
Let's go
what
let's go sports
specifically?
science. The
Uh,
first road that we ended up walking down. Why go into the realm of sport and then started talking about performance, right? Like why do that?
well, look, I was exposed to sport and the science of sport long before there were roles called sports scientists. Um, my dad was a he used to do a lot of training of football teams, training of runners, middle distance, long. Well, he did some sprinters as well, long distance runners. So I was following him around as a kid. Um, I would have been 10 years old, I reckon, following him around at different training sessions, different football teams or running groups, and so I was exposed to it from a really young age. And I kind of I say you know I got addicted to the smell of liniment, and I've been around it ever since. And that's kind of it, really. So I was always probably going to do something in that area.
Yeah.
Um, Now I didn't know exactly what. I had some goals that I wanted to tick off, and some of the things that I'm doing now were never on my radar, really. They're above and beyond anything that I dreamed of. But I credit my dad for exposing me to sport and and training principles, um, from a really young age. And I used to say to him, I learned more about training from doing it with him than I ever did from any textbook. Um, that experience from a really young age, just it shaped my mindset, and also it just shaped my understanding of training really
Yeah.
well.
See, that's what I think we have a bit of a unique spot in the sport and wellness and fitness and physical realm sense, right? Because like the theories are great, the science is fantastic, but the fuck does it mean if it doesn't work out on the field or the track or in the gym? And it's like, well, does it work? Go show me. Oh, but it works on
Yeah,
the computer. I was like, yeah, great, but does it work with a human? And now we
yeah,
have to
yeah,
blend it and we have to apply it, right? And back into a sporting realm, it's really easy. Did we get better? There's a metric. Did we win? Did we get faster? Did we get stronger? Are we more powerful? If the answer is nah, then no, it's not. It's yes or no. And I
yeah,
think that's beautiful. I think that's why we get addicted to it, right? Rather than staring at a textbook, we're like, no, no, no. Now let's go interact with a person and let's go see if we can mold this theory to this individual and make them better.
yeah. I mean, that's the part I like the most. I would, I acknowledge that some people can do it, but I could never be someone who is an internet trainer, for example. Who provides programs via the internet, and um, you know remote training, or whatever you want to call it. I just couldn't do it because I need I need to kind of eyeball the person I'm working with. I need to see their face. I need to see their body language.
Yeah.
I need to kind of kind of hear their breathing, and see a bit of sweat trickling off the forehead. Those kind of things are little cues that are really important for me to help me understand what that athlete's going through at that point in time, and help me find a way to help them win that moment. Um, and I just couldn't do that. I couldn't do that via the internet. So I guess, if I was that way inclined and I set up a business like that, it probably would be a popular business. But I couldn't sleep easy at night. I couldn't look myself in the mirror at the end of the day because I know that there was just something that I needed in order to do my job well that I wasn't getting. Um, so yeah, I really like just working with people and finding out what makes them tick.
That's it, mate. I see it as two different jobs. I see it as like two different roles, two different sets of skills. You know, if you work online, you're working with someone, you got balls deep into the programming, mega, but that's going to exercise a certain amount of skills, right? And then in person, those interpersonal skills, those soft skills, it's completely different. It is literally like a two separate sides of the coin, right? Two separate roles.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really hard
yeah,
to be able to flick between the two if that's what you do. And like I'll have a couple online, and it's like, oh no, 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 I have to take that hat off and put another hat on because the way
yeah,
you
yeah,
have to then communicate with these people has got to be different, you know. And I'm a bit unique because I know them in person as well, and then it's just like, okay, cool, I have that past experience I can then leverage off. But if it's somebody I've never met before, like it's difficult. Yeah, I understand. Like it is a different job. It completely is. You know,
yeah,
you don't
yeah,
see the energy that they walk in with the room that day. And sometimes on the fly, you
yeah.
just be like, okay, fuck, I gotta scrap this entire plan because this person's not gonna get to it. They're coming in dragging ass, and you're like, okay, cool. Let's get something in. Let's get something done, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we see it all the time too. With rugby is a good example, but you see it in all sorts of sports where you will have you don't want everyone in your staff with the exact same skill set or everyone in your
Yeah.
staff thinking the exact same way. Because if everyone has the same skills and is thinking the same way, then there's only need for one of you to be there. Um, but what you see in the good teams is, a pretty diverse mix of people. So you will have, and rugby is a good example. You'll have your head strength coach or your head conditioning coach. They'll be they may not be that um, science oriented. They may not be that number focused, but and they come across as a little bit crazy and as a little bit mad. But the players that lie down in traffic for them, they
Yeah.
just they love them because they just get them going. They make them laugh. They make it fun. They galvanise the group. But you couldn't have a whole staff full of those people because it'd just be mayhem. Um, so you do have some people who are more analytical, who take a little bit more time to think through problems, and they're a bit more number focused, and they balance out those guys really well. So um, yeah, I mean you see it in the good teams all the time, and the fact that they're different is not a bad thing. That's actually a great thing. The diversity that you've got in your group is a real strength.
The diversity of thought too, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
really necessary, and that's something that, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it as well. Like socially, right? Once you've got a group of folk and their diversity of thought is basically null, they think the same way. This is it. This is the uniform. This is the fucking narrative. Follow it. And you're like, wait, hold on a minute. Like, this is a really weak bunch of folks, whether that's physically, mentally, whatever you want to draw from. And I'm like, no, no, no. We should be encouraging different questions to then come in it collaboratively and be like, okay, well, we're all trying to achieve the same goal of like progress, right? Sports science, get W's on the board, win, right? Mint. But how do we do that? Like, because the wolf climbing the mountain is always hungrier than the wolf on top, right? So,
Mm.
I mean, let's use the All Blacks. Three World Cups on the bounce, won it, 12 years of dominance, but they didn't change. Not this World Cup, the last World Cup. England absolutely fuck them up in the semi final because they didn't change. Because all you got to do is like, well, here's the game plan. This is what they're going to do. Find the hole in it, exploit it. That's what happened. Boom, game over. Like the best team is the one that's always adaptable. That's South Africa. Fantastic, changing formations, changing tactics on the fly. They can go from getting fucked up in a game to changing it or winning the game. Like that's the point. We're supposed to be able to adapt, mold, be malleable, right? And I think we need to have the same thing in our thought processes too, and our belief system in a way. Not of like being a snowflake and just changing your opinion all the time. No, no, no. I'm not saying that. Like, but we need to be open to being wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in a high performance environment, a lot of high performance environments, the hardest thing about being high performance is being honest about the question, are we high performance? And looking yourself in the mirror and saying, are these high performance actions, or what we do day to day, is the way we interact with each other, is that actually high performance? And um, you know, you, the egos in those environments can be quite large.
Yeah.
So a real strength of people who succeed in high performance organizations are the ones who are really good listeners, and they're prepared to see things from someone else's viewpoint. Now, you could probably count on one hand the people who really do that well in high performance sport.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then we go back to the original question: are we actually high performance? The vast majority of high performance organizations aren't actually um, executing high performance actions. They're not actually high performance because they don't listen well. They're not prepared to look at things from the side as well as they do the front. They just see things a certain way. And sometimes you have to be really strong in your approach, and you have to you can't just bend and blow in the wind. Um, if someone comes with a new idea, you just throw everything out and go with the new one. But you have to be open to the fact that there's a better way to do things.
Mm.
And if things aren't working, then there's a different there might be a different way to do it, that there might actually be a better way to do it. And
Mm.
that's the people who can do that, who can remain open to that. They're the ones who, in my opinion, are the ones who are the smartest people in high performance sport. There's no shortage of smart people in high performance sport, but the ones who have got that real social intelligence, so they can understand, they can communicate with the GMs just as well as they can communicate with the kit manager. Um, those are the ones that do really well in sport.
What's your definition of high performance?
Because I don't know whether I've actually thought about a definition, but um, I mean, high performance is, to me, is more about it is more than just the wins.
Yeah.
You can be winning sometimes um, and displaying very low performance actions. So sometimes winning can hide your sins. Um,
Yeah.
you know, you, you,
True.
you're winning, but there's so many bad things that are going on in that environment. Um, it's not high performance. Then there's other examples of um, high performance where you're not getting the wins, but you just know that if they stick at their processes, they stick with their effort they're showing, things are going to turn pretty quickly, or they will turn. So to me, um, high performance is probably, it's about discipline. It's about not only the discipline of coming in early and getting your soft tissue work done, getting your activation work done, winning a session, being locked into the session. It's the discipline around that. It's about sleeping well, preparing well, eating well, hydrating well,
Mm.
getting off your phone when you need to get off your phone. So being disciplined around what performance, about the actions that you need to show for high performance. I think you need to be persistent, and keep in mind that um, that it's for most people, it's not just going to happen. It's not. But if you stay at it long enough, at least you give yourself a shot of it happening. It may never happen for you, but if you don't stay at it, then you're never going to know. And probably performance for me, high performance, is about hard work and effort, right? There's so many examples of talented people, whether they're staff in a team, or whether they're players, that are extremely talented people but lazy. And so many examples of people where we go, oh, he could have been anything, she could have been anything, and and we just never achieve the heights that we think they're going to achieve. And a lot of it comes down to they weren't prepared to sacrifice enough. They weren't prepared to work hard enough, put the effort in to get to where they needed to go. They had all the talent in the world, but they just weren't prepared to work hard enough. So I'd say hard work and effort, discipline, and I'd say persistence. They're kind of the three pillars, I think, for me, that make up high performance.
Yeah, quite often enough, we get blinded by the outcome, right? It's like we're a cat in headlights, and we just kind of run towards it because we're in a daze. And it's like, no, 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 no. We just have to focus on the process. The outcome will eventually be inevitable. You might get a whole season of L's. You might lose every single frigging game. You might miss the lifts, or whatever sport that we're in, or even business, artists, or whatever it is, life. You might fall bloody short. Fine. But the secret sauce is that consistency. That's it, that persistence piece, right? Of just, okay, get back up again, brush yourself off, like carry on. So what? Like tomorrow you got to dig a hole again. And that's all it is. And then you turn around and be like, holy shit, like how far have we come? Like teams and just like people, I think we overestimate what we can do in a day. And we underestimate what we can do in a year, 5 years, 10 years. Like you said before, you made that decision and we're like, well, I kind of became obsessed with this fitness thing, this sport thing. Yeah. And then you're doing shit that you never would have been able to dream about. That's because you just kept going.
Yeah, well, look, I mentioned earlier on that I learned a lot. I learned a lot of good lessons through sport, through just training with my dad, through my old man, and he he had a couple of sayings. One was, you can't get goals while you're sitting in the grandstand, right? And when I use that saying, people have different understanding of what that means. So they go, well, if you're injured, you can't perform. That's true, but that's not what he was saying. What he was saying was he'd seen a lot of people who, and we see them in life now. Now they're more prevalent than ever with social media. You see it all the time. We call them the haters. They're the ones who are the most critical of someone who's doing well. And typically it's, why has he or she got what I could do? I could do that. Why has he got it and I haven't? Or I could do things so much better than them. In Australia we call it the tall poppy syndrome, but it's I could have done that if I wanted to, or I could have done that, or I should have done that. Well, everyone has the opportunity, and you make your own luck. It's not, anything that I've done in my life, be it in sport or in my personal life or my professional life. None of it's come through natural brilliance. It's come through just every day getting up and going to work and working as hard as I could. And that mindset was developed really young when I was following my old man around and training, right? And I learned how to train that way. And it's a mindset that I just carried into other areas of my life. Now that you mentioned in there that you can be losing games, and you can be losing games. You're not getting the points on the scoreboard, but you're winning in other areas. And and we see that in a lot of teams who are just working really hard, or athletes who are working really hard to, and you can see it in their effort. So in a rugby game, there's more of those jerseys in the contest. Even when they're down on the scoreboard, they go to the last frame, and there's 5 jerseys hunting one of the opposition jerseys, and you go, look, if they can keep this kind of effort in their game, they're going to be in more games than they're out of it. So you can see that in sport all the time, that you can be winning even when you're not winning on the scoreboard. And that was another lesson I learned from my dad, is that really early on, he said, you're gonna lose more than you win. Now, he wasn't saying get used to losing, because that's all that life is about losing. He wasn't saying that. He wasn't saying if you're down on the scoreboard, just give up. He wasn't saying that. What he was saying was, well, in sport, there's always going to be someone that you come across who's going to be, well, certainly with someone of my talent, there's going to be a heap of people who are going to be better than me in sport. So get used to the fact that a lot of the time you're going to be chasing, but that effort that comes with the chase, that is kind of the stuff that makes you or breaks you. So if you give up on the chase, then that's a metaphor for the rest of your life. When things get a little bit tough in the rest of your life, it's just too hard. Or why me? Why does it always happen to me? And that was kind of what he was saying, that get used to losing, because you're going to get knocked down, just in sport as you do in life. You're going to get knocked down, but it's the person who can sort of overcome those little challenges and just pick themselves, as you said, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go again. All right, I've been here before. I know how to fight my way out of it. Here I go again. And we meet people in life all the time that can go one of two ways. They can give in to themselves because it gets too hard, and they become the victim. Yeah. It's things are just, why me? Why does it always happen to me? Life isn't fair. Or you get the other person who just goes, oh, all right, here we are again. Okay, a little bit of adversity. I know what this feels like. I know how to fight my way out of it. Here I go. Let's get on with it. And it's the more often the earlier we can expose our athletes to it, a little bit of hard work and adversity, and fighting through a little bit of discomfort. In all sorts of ways we can do it. And the more they learn how to fight their way out of it, the better prepared they are in competition to do it. But also the better they're prepared they're going to be for other areas of their life when they have to overcome a bit of hardship.
For life, man. That's a huge point. And quite often we get so sucked into sport, or even everyday folk get sucked into just fucking working out. And you're like, yeah, cool, but the lessons that we learn in here then applies outside. It's not just this 1 hour in the gym. It's not just 80 minutes on the field. It's no. What are you doing out there? I remember on summer fitness training, everybody used to hate it, right? Especially I used to play one in rugby union. So I used to live for the scrum. Not a lot of running. I just wanted 8 lads around facing up against another 8 lads, just smashing into each other. And that was my that was my bit of fun. But I remember we used to do 2 hours in the weight room. Then we used to come outside and do 2 hours of fitness. And then we could touch a rugby ball. And you're thinking that's barbaric, that's inhumane. Why would you do that? And I remember it'd be the height of summer, bearing in mind it was the north of England. So summer's 26 degrees tops. We're dying, pasty white boys. But we'd go for some water. The coach would turn around and go, what the fuck are you doing? Get some water, mate. I'm dying. Like, we've done 3.5 hours of working out. Did I say you can get some water? No, you didn't, but I'm dying. No buts. Figure it out. And again, it's a little bit of an extreme example, right? But it's the process of, oh, okay, we're here again. Oh, I got to figure this out. I can't be like, but what if this is really hard? Yeah, it's hard. So
Yeah.
you still got to get to the other side of it. You still have to get out of the other side of this shit situation and work. You still got to get to 80 minutes. You still want that W on the board. You still got to fight your way out. What the fuck are you going to do about it? Mm.
Yeah, and I think those kind of moments are really good in terms of, they can expose the leaders in the group. Um, yeah, I I think if done correctly, you can develop leadership as well. But
Yeah.
straight away, as a group, you can go one of two ways. You can fracture as a group, and someone starts whinging and carrying on that they've got no water, or as a group, you decide to get a little bit harder. Um, and the blister turns into a callus, and and then then like, there's no easy being a forward in a rugby team. There's nothing easy about it, and the fact that you live for the scrum, that tells me a whole heap about you. Um, right? So there's not a lot of people who want to be putting their head in those positions. That's you're putting your head where most people don't want to put their feet, right? So
Yeah.
it's a special type of person that goes into a scrum. So you want to know that those other guys that are going into the scrum have got that same mindset as you. Because if you've got a pack of forwards like that, then you're getting pretty hard to beat.
Yeah. 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 It's called the anger management kids. That usually you either chase an egg or you're going to get locked in a cell.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
was a
yeah.
swimmer back in the day, and I used to get in way too many fights. Um, Moving into high school, and they just said, "Do you play rugby?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I don't really know the rules or anything. I know it's a sport, but no, I swim." I was like, "You're not going to swim anymore. You're going to chase this egg." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Where do I need to
Well, you're
be?"
the first person I've ever met who told me I'm a swimmer and I used to get in too many fights, and said it in the same sentence. I've never heard that before.
The thing is, swimmer is a bit of a loose term. It was more of a whale than a fish. I used to jump in the pool and the water jumped out. It was not the fastest. It was breaststroke for a reason, because I could muscle my way through the water rather than actually be streamlined and actually have some speed. It was like, no, no, I can just kind of pull myself through and give me a bit of a kick. But yeah, 96 kilos at 13 doesn't really equate to a good swimmer.
You're number one for a reason.
Yeah. Try not to punch somebody with your fist. Try and punch them with your shoulder. But mate, I got three questions to finish on.
Yeah.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Uh, oh, geez. The harder you work, the easier it gets.
Ooh, I like that a lot. The harder you work, the easier it gets. Hmm. What's the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Uh, Good question. I don't know that I'd have to think about that, because if it was the worst piece of advice I got, I probably let it go straight away.
Good.
Uh, yeah, look, probably the worst piece of advice I get would be from negative people. So you'll if you be around people long enough, you can see positive people in the way they work with others, the way they speak with others. They're not fake positive. They
Mm.
just have this energy about them. Whereas negative people, everything's a problem. Or, you know, an example would be for the stuff I'm doing. Don't, I have my own business. And it's different from what most people do with my qualifications and experience. So people would say, well, don't go down that path because there's no security,
Yeah.
right? So rather than see the positives of go down this path and you'll be your own boss. Go down this path and you get to work with who you want to work with, not who you're told to work with. Go down this path, and all the successes and all the failures, you get to own them. All right. No one, they're all the positives that come with it. But people in the negative side of it will always see the glass half empty, and they'll go, "Oh, you go down here and you'll have no job security. Go down here and what if it doesn't work? Go down here and so they'll always see the negatives. So for me, I can't really give you the worst piece of advice, but I can kind of give you examples of what it looks like. And a lot of the time, I just don't entertain it. I don't invite negative people into my world, really. I just try and I'm trying to look at how good something can be rather than what if something goes wrong.
That's also a beautiful mindset, man. And I think inadvertently, that's a great piece of advice. I really do. Think about where it could lead rather than the trapdoor that you could be stood on. So yeah, you'll figure it out if it all goes pear-shaped. You'll be all right. You've done it before. Shit's hit the fan. You'll pull yourself back out. Don't worry about it. But wouldn't you want to see what's on the other side? Wouldn't you want to, what if is a difficult question to ask yourself? And we're all going to end up in the same place. And at least you can say you've done it on your terms.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little mantra of just don't die wondering. So when I'm done, whenever that time comes, I will know I've given whatever I've done. I've given it 100%, and then I can look myself in the mirror and say, I'm content. I've done everything I could do.
Yeah.
I've got no regrets.
Funny you say don't die wondering, because my last question is, what are the 3 words you would tell your younger self? And there it is right there. Don't die wondering.
Yeah, that'd be it. Like, don't die wondering, or I'd have 4 words. Don't worry so much.
Yeah, that's
I used
another
to
big
probably
one.
worry about things that now I just don't worry.
Yeah.
Whatever comes, and I just have the faith that I can, whatever comes, it'll be okay. It's never going to be that bad, and chances are I've been through worse, so it'll be fine.
It'll be fine, brother. Thank you so much. This has been an honor and a privilege, mate.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Alex.
Thank you, man. One day I hope I can get to one of your talks. Like,
all right, I better get over to New Zealand while you're still there.
you've got to get over here, man. Or get to Manchester. I'll show you around town.
I bet you will.
We'll get a pint. All right, lad.
Okay.
You enjoy your day. We'll speak soon.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. Bye.
Legend. See you later, everybody.